who we are through basketball. There's so many things that you learn. You
Hmm.
learn who you truly are. You have to be able to work through difficulty and work with people that you might not necessarily get along with. You go through ups and downs, pushing through, displaying perseverance and things like that. But I think, unfortunately, for the women's game, obviously the men's started first with the NBA, and we got accustomed to all of the dunks and flashy things,
Sure.
whereas the women's game is played under the rim, right?
Right.
So oftentimes there is a lot of just fundamental basketball that's
Yeah.
being played, and I think that we could do a better job of just publicizing the women's game, right? And so the bottom line with the women's game is we have to get fans in the seats. We have to get butts in the seats, and making sure that the experience that the fan has when they come to a women's game is exceeding their expectation for entertainment.
Right, right. And I want to get right back to that, but I don't know if you noticed, but there's actually our little live button. We
Yes,
made it. We have
yes,
arrived. So there are
praise the
people
Lord.
that are just coming in, whether you're viewing on Facebook Live or you're joining us on YouTube. Thank you. I will start over. I am Vera Jones, your host, and you have just tuned in to the WPBA Owners Corner. With us today is Kahli Wilson, or Kahli Wilson, want to make sure I pronounce it correctly, straight out of Toledo, Ohio, a big time superstar there. She is absolutely awesome, and since we almost have to repeat ourselves, but she filled in. She is the deputy commissioner of the WPBA, and she just filled in for the commissioner, who Tamika Milburn, who had some family emergency. So we're so happy to have her here. It pains me that I would have to make you repeat yourself, but your story was so awesome, and
That's
now all
okay.
of our people are just coming in. We had our little technical difficulties. Why? Because I was in charge.
That's the way
And
God
tech is
wanted. He was
my
just
thing.
preparing the stage.
And you know what? You teach technology. We got to get into that a little bit. I should have had you do all of this for us. But again, would you please, Kali, just introduce yourself a little smidgen about your background, because there's so much to your basketball story.
Yes, absolutely. So I started playing basketball in seventh grade. I have three older brothers who would always drag me out to the playground during the summer times. And one day, while I was out on the blacktop, a gentleman, Tracy Munnerson, who ran the rec center program, saw me, and I was always the biggest girl, right? I'm 6 feet tall. And he asked if I wanted to play. I went in and I played on the team. It's actually funny. My very first game, I got in the game. Talk about lack of knowledge. I got in the game. We got the tip ball, and I start going the opposite direction of our goal. But I made such huge strides and so much progress to where I played high school at Brookhaven in Columbus, Ohio. We won a state championship there with Reggie Lee, and then got a full scholarship to the University of Toledo. And under
Mhm.
Mark Elan, we won two MAC championship titles there. And from there, went to play professionally in Switzerland. In Switzerland, I actually led the league in scoring and rebounding, averaging
Woo,
30
go
points
girl.
a game and 15
30
rebounds.
points a game. Were they
Yep,
all
yes, ma'am.
what's going on?
That was a long time ago.
Yeah.
Um, so from there, we were there for one season. My husband Al and I, we met in college at Toledo, and we both played professionally there. Decided it was just best to come back home with everything surrounding September 11th, and from there, I hung up my basketball shoes and just became a full time wife.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Mhm.
And full-time wife probably keeps you as busy, if not busier, than even being a professional athlete overseas. I'm sure.
Yes, yes.
So we were just talking about, before we had to go backwards just a little bit. We were just talking about women's basketball, women's sports in general, when you really think about it, but just the lack of visibility and the strides
Mm,
over the year. But they have been such hard strives, endeavors
yes.
to get, for instance, the WNBA and any
Mm,
league that tries to get started. It's very, very slow for women in sports, even though those who follow women's sports are extremely passionate and extremely
absolutely.
loyal. And you were talking about some of the reasons why women have struggled so much, and especially in the game of basketball. to get that kind of visibility? Please, if you don't mind repeating yourself, that was
Right,
great.
absolutely. So I think we have gotten accustomed just as a society to all of the dunks and all of the flashy things that we see so often in the men's game, which is fantastic, right? It is entertainment, and there are some
Hmm.
amazing athletes that are just gifted with abilities that the average person don't have. So we like to see that. Whereas in the women's game, we still do have a lot of flashy players, but we have very few people who are actually dunking consistently. So
Hmm.
our game is played below the rim, oftentimes with a lot of fundamental, just solid basketball going on. And so I think, unfortunately, we haven't done as good of a job, I think, just overall with the game of publicizing women's basketball and really showcasing the talent that we have. So I think that's part of it, as well as just making sure the experience that the fan receives when they walk through those doors of the arena exceeds their expectations. Whatever they're coming for, whether it's to cheer on their favorite player or to have a great family atmosphere, to bring their entire family, that we just exceed their expectation. So with the WPBA, we are a really community-centric league. So
Yeah.
our fans are fans that some of them might not have ever watched watched a basketball game before, but they
Hmm.
see our players in their community. Our players have gone out to their school, and so
Hmm.
their children are saying, "Hey, mom, we have to go see so and so play." So
Yeah.
we are very involved in the community, and I think that's really what sets us apart.
I love that. In fact, when I was first speaking to the president, Rita Haywood, who called me about just coming on and just hosting this show. And I was like, tell me about the league. And so one of the things that she emphasized was it's not in competition with the
Right.
WNBA.
Absolutely.
It's a nice auxiliary too, a
Mhm.
nice alternative too, because there
Absolutely.
are so many great players out there that
Yes.
are they don't either if they want an opportunity to continue their passion and continue a career, they have to go overseas. And so this
Absolutely.
just gives them another professional option. And I'm sure that there will always be comparisons too, but how
Right.
important is that you establish yourself in terms of branding, that we're not the WNBA, we're not even a WNBA wannabe, and that whole
Right.
point about the community and being community centric. That was the first time I ever heard that term. I was like, I learned something today. But I love that. I love that, and that's what I learned when Rita approached me. It was about being community centric. What does that
Absolutely.
look like exactly? What is community centric?
So, for example, when pretty much the entire country was shut down due to COVID, one
Mhm.
thing that we did, initiative we had, was to offer tutoring online.
Oh, I
So,
love.
online we had a host of, whether it was WPPA staff or coaches, players, we were available to offer tutoring in multiple different subjects, to our fans or just anyone that wanted to sign up. We
Mhm.
realized that there was a need, because unfortunately, online instruction is just not as good as
Yeah,
in-person learning. So we wanted to
right.
partner with our fan base, with the communities that we serve, to offer an alternative to that.
Mhm.
So we also want to partner with the hubs in the cities that we serve to get our young girls more active in STEM and just more interested in careers in science, technology, engineering, and math. I have a
Mhm.
math background. I've actually been a math teacher for the past 6 years, and now I'm
I
a
see.
technology teacher. So yes, so but that's huge because women are so underserved in those careers, and oftentimes those are also some of the most highest paying careers in those
Mhm.
fields, and so
Yeah.
the careers where there's the most growth in technology. So we are all about being involved in the communities that we serve and really partnering with our fan base.
Let's talk about those communities. I probably should have done this even at the start of the show because, hey, coming near you, a way for you to get involved. And of course,
Absolutely.
as you see, we're going to be expecting tip. We're hoping, all things non-COVID, that we would be tipping in 2021. But
Yes.
if you're in the Atlanta area, you want to check out
Yes.
the Atlanta Monarchs. If
Mhm.
you're from Virginia or around that area, there's the Richmond Roadrunners.
Mhm.
There's another team in Atlanta, or I should say in Georgia, and that would be the
Yep.
Georgia Soul.
Yep.
Greensboro.
Mhm.
So getting up into the Carolinas a little bit. If you want a team to follow, you'd be following the Greensboro Chaos, spelled
Yep.
K-A-O-S. Very creative.
Mhm.
Let's go down to
The
Tennessee.
Upstate Thunder in South Carolina. Yep.
Tennessee Conductors. If you're
Yep.
up there in Philly, the Philadelphia Rain is the team there. And good old Mississippi, the Mississippi Eagles. All right.
Yes.
So those are some of the teams. And you can always check out the WPBA.com to learn a little bit more
Yes.
about the teams and some of the coaches, as well as the owners who we'll be talking to on this show. We'll probably go from the owners corner, and then as we get closer to the season, we'll jump into the coaches corner. And at some
Yes.
point, I hope we'll be jumping into the players corner, just to
Absolutely.
continue to learn about what you're doing. So
Mhm.
talk to me a little bit about, I see we're in Miss Wilson's room behind you on a board, and you were talking about your students first through eighth grade, teaching them technology. Are you a
Yes.
technology wizard?
It's funny, I am not how God works. So no, I am actually not a technology wizard. But I do have a wonderful counterpart at a different campus who is really helping me transition this year. But our students are learning how to code. They're learning everything Google Suites, right? G Suite, whether it's slides or docs, everything G Suite. They're learning keyboarding skills because typing is essential. Oftentimes, our teens, they're learning that through their iPhones, right, or their Android phones, but actually typing on a keyboard is essential. So we're learning all kind of things in technology class, and I do love being a teacher. I also help my husband. I'm his assistant coach for our varsity basketball team. We won a state championship last year at the school we
Woo-hoo.
were at. Yes, woo
Okay.
woo. And coaching is essentially being a teacher as well. So
Yeah.
I love helping people, and I love helping to educate people.
Well, I think you're going to be an outstanding deputy commissioner with
Thank
that kind
you.
of mindset and that background. And on that note, I wanted to ask you, how important is it to get kids involved at the younger ages? And how important is that going to be for building a brand for women's basketball? Is creating that interest at a young age, just like
Right.
you do with.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. And I think that is key. So we will be holding clinics that are, offered in the cities where we serve so that we can get those young girls out there, teach them the skills they know, teach them the skills they need to be successful with basketball. And what I love about our game is that, sure, everybody would love to, well, actually not everybody, but a lot of people would love to be able to, play professionally or even play at the next level in college. And that is our goal. Our ultimate
Mhm.
goal would be to, you know, train little girls up so that they could have those skills needed to play at the next level. But even if that's not in the cards for them, basketball teaches so much more.
Sure.
And it's so much more than just dribbling a basketball, right? You have to
Yeah,
learn how to
don't
work
like
with,
that term.
yeah, learn how to work with people. You have to know how to persevere through challenges. You have to learn how to deal with loss and how to, learn from those losses so that they don't become failures. Hard work, discipline, as an athlete, you can't do everything that everyone can do. There might be times, it's funny, our daughter is learning this right now in the eighth grade. There are times when you have to sacrifice being able to go out with your friends because you have a practice or you have a game, eating differently. You can't eat like everyone else. So there's so
Yeah.
many things that basketball gives, and even just self-confidence and self-esteem that goes beyond just being able to dribble a ball or shoot the ball in the hoop.
Moving forward, basketball also, I think, and that's why I love that we're doing the owner's corner. We tend to forget that there are jobs in sport. So
Mm-hmm.
it isn't always participate in sport because you're going to go and
Absolutely.
become a professional player. You might
Right.
become a broadcaster,
Right.
become in the back office or the front office, or you know what I mean?
Absolutely.
There's so many other things. You might get interested in sports from the perspective of sports training, sports medicine, sports
Exactly. Exactly.
journalism. There's so
Right.
many. different
So many
things you
different
can
things.
do in sports, and you're teaching young kids about STEM. Maybe they get involved with stats and
Right.
statistics, and
Absolutely. Absolutely.
yeah, yeah. And so that's what I love, is that we're wiser now to understand that, you can no longer just pigeonhole, women's basketball into this,
Yes.
it's not very productive. There's so
Right.
many different
So many
ways you
things.
can go. And if you have young children and you're watching, help them understand that now sport is not just about
Right.
dribbling basketball. And we have
Right.
some
It's so much
brilliant
more.
minds, yours included, Kahli,
Thank you.
that are, and that's the part that I never um, was really, really fully. I never took a business
Mhm.
course, right? I became an
Right.
entrepreneur by default, I think, but I never took a business course. And as I look back, excuse me, I'm always thinking
Mhm.
about
Sure.
how could I have done that differently
Right.
so that I would learn more about the business of basketball. Talk about it, the business.
Sure, absolutely. And it's funny, actually, that's what I have a degree in, is business. And so again, basketball is what allowed me to be able to pay for my education. So behind the scenes, there are so many different things that go on that, again, basketball is just, it is the vehicle, it is the tool to be used. So, behind the scenes, we are looking for different teams that are the caliber that we're looking for to join our professional organization. We're looking at different players to be able to come into our league. We're looking at different activities and initiatives that we can do in the community to really be a support and a help to our communities. So there are so many different things that go on behind the scenes, like you said, whether it's, doing stats, or really so many different facets that come into play. So I really encourage young ladies, especially, right? Boys, oftentimes, and just as a generality, they love sports, right? And so it's helping our young girls to see, it's okay to be involved in sports and to like sports. It's okay. You can still be feminine if you're an athlete, right? And it's okay to be aggressive. It's okay to use your God-given skills and abilities on the basketball court. Just letting them know that it is okay to do that. It's okay to be who you are, and be able to do that through sports.
And I love that the WPBA understands that, and part of the commitment to being very active in the community is to give those role models, to let young women understand, and young girls and young boys, because
Mhm.
there's a level of respect there that has to come
Absolutely.
into play as well, to understand the business of basketball, and that it's about giving back. That no matter
Absolutely.
how far you go in your basketball career, every last one of us at some point figures out a way to give back. I'm going to go
Right.
back and I'm going to be a coach. I'm going to go back and I'm going to try to start launching a league. I'm going to run camps. I'm going to start teaching STEM. Things like that are the things that get overlooked, and we don't always get the credit for being women in sport as we would like to.
Right,
So,
absolutely, and actually, and just to tag on to that, Vera, I
mhm,
think back to, again, back in my early days when I first started, and I started playing for a AAU team called Take ABC, and I still remember to this day, it was founded by Tim and Carmen Brown out of Columbus, Ohio, and Tim actually has a book in a series called Uncommon. That's a plug for you, Tim, but it stood for Talented Athletes and Artists Competing, with a K, because Carmen Brown, her name starts with a K. So
mhm,
talented athletes and artists competing for excellence. That was the take. And
mhm,
then there was a slash, and then the ABC stood for Achievers, Believers, and Challengers. So
mhm,
just to again tie in the business, they were entrepreneurs. They
mhm.
started that AAU team, which helped so many. I mean, now actually at this, and I'm showing my age, but now some WNBA players that are now retired, like Helen Darling, she was a part of that, that
Oh, I
are
love
now,
Helen. Mhm,
yes, Helen Darling and like
mhm.
Brooke Wyckoff. But they started that. They were the entrepreneurs, and there was a business side of that. but
Mhm.
they gave back. And so now, I was a product of that. So seeing even that go full circle to where now I'm giving back through, coaching basketball, doing different camps and clinics, and
Mhm.
even through the WPBA, again, just trying to give this generation of young girls the same opportunities that I had growing up.
Yeah, and like I said, it's one of the things that I love, and that's what caught my ear
Mhm.
when Rita Haywood actually reached out to me. I was the community effort, the give back.
Absolutely.
Because you're talking about your age. Don't go there. Don't Let's not go there. But at my age, that's all you start thinking about is giving back because you don't know how you can move forward anymore, right? So
Right,
the give
right.
back is very, very important, and I'm so excited about that. And I think that it's going to do wonders in those communities,
Yes.
and I'm excited about it. So let me ask you this: since we're in sports analogies, what's a win in your first year? So 2021, you're going to kick off. Should have been this year, but because of
Right.
COVID, obviously, there's been a delay. So, as the deputy commissioner of a brand new League of Women's Basketball, the WPBA, when you sit around the round table, the Zoom meeting round table,
Mhm, mhm.
do you
Exactly.
talk about what the win? What is the goal? Like once this kicks off in your first year, what will you go? Yeah, we did it. What would be a win for you all?
So a win would be really being active in our communities, really
Mhm.
galvanizing the community and providing resources, meeting needs in the communities that we serve because they're different, right? Not every
Mhm.
community needs the same thing. And
Yeah.
through that, using basketball again as a vehicle to do that, through that,
Mhm.
then opening those communities' eyes to all the wonderful things that the WPBA has to offer in terms of the teams and in terms of the players. Hey,
Mhm.
yes, we'll help your kid via tutoring or a clinic or serving meals or a turkey drive, toy drive, things of that nature. But then, hey, on the back end, we also have this wonderful product, this exciting high level of basketball that we're putting on the floor. And so then to get that turnaround and have that same level of support poured back into the league. So that again, it's just a recurring circle. We are helping our community. Our community is helping us by coming out and supporting our athletes and our coaches, our teams, by coming and watching some outstanding basketball.
Appreciate that. Appreciate that. My
Mhm.
final thought is just on this. I happened to notice I was just kind of skimming headlines and I saw Sue Bird, Seattle Storm with the WNBA, not to be confused or compared with the
Right.
WPBA, but as someone that has been out there, and of course the WNBA has had both um, fans and critics of the activism that was shown this season. Do you ever
Mhm.
talk about where is the place? It always amazes me when people talk about stay in your place, right? When you're
Mhm.
talking about helping people in the community,
Right.
but there's a
Right.
relationship between helping people in the community and activism because all
Absolutely.
the activism is supposed to be a positive thing, but because, for
Absolutely.
instance, it in this particular situation, it has become about race, it
Mhm.
suddenly became a negative thing. Where do you draw the lines in terms of what you will do, what you won't do, or have you not even really kind of discussed that yet?
We haven't really discussed that yet, but I just think in general, um, you know, athletes, entertainers, anyone with influence, I think you do have a responsibility
I agree.
to people. That was one of the things, back growing up, you might hear different athletes, whatever sport, say, "Oh, well, I'm just a basketball player. I'm just a football player." But it's like, unfortunate, I believe that we're much more than that, right? We do
Sure.
have a platform, and people will listen. So I think that, you know, speaking for the WPBA, that we do have a role to be able to speak up for what's right. I think just as a human being, we should
Hmm.
speak up for what's right. Like God calls us to speak up for those who don't have a voice themselves. So,
Yeah.
whatever the arena, whatever the platform, whether it's race relations or, hungry children or sex trafficking, whatever the field, you participate in what you feel strongly called to speak about. But I don't think there's anything wrong with athletes using their voice to, be a beacon of light for people who might not have that opportunity to speak up for themselves.
I'm in complete agreement, and I thank you for saying that. I think it is so very, very important to have a voice, because we have one. And at the end of the
Absolutely.
day, we're always thinking about where the next generation is going. Well, that's where leadership comes in, right? And so to
Absolutely.
remain silent means you're not really being an effective leader for where the next generation is going. And
Absolutely.
so I have people that reach out to me all the time in terms of wanting to be mentored and coached. And again, that's part of the give back that I think sports, something about being in sports
Yes.
just makes you want to do it,
There
And
really
so
is, Vera.
it,
Absolutely.
yeah, it all goes together. So in our final, I'll give you this final word. This is an opportunity for you to throw out your invitation to whoever is watching. Is shout out, shout out. Just throw out an invitation to whoever is watching about the WPBA, what they can expect, what you're hoping, and just go ahead, whatever's on your mind.
Absolutely. Well, first, I do want to thank everybody who is watching for tuning in and listening. I pray God blesses each and every one of you. And I do just want to encourage you to log on to the WPBA.com or check us out on Facebook, YouTube, because we are really a league that has our players, our coaches, our communities' best interests at heart. We really want to reach out and give back. That is our whole thing. I can't say it enough. We are community centric. So we are about being involved in the community, not just being entertainment that you can come out and watch. Yes, that's great. Of course, we all love to see great basketball, but we want to go above and beyond and do so much more than that. So I encourage you just to check us out. I can't wait till, Lord willing, that we can play in action in 2021. But I really think if you give us a chance, you give us a try, come to a game, you will not be disappointed. Our athletes, our coaches, our staff, we will not disappoint you.
When will a schedule be posted online? Anytime soon? Our schedule's being put together now, or?
That's something we'll be finalizing towards the beginning of the year. Yep. So be looking for that coming out after the beginning of the year.
And right now you're mostly East Coast or Southeast, 8 teams. Any talk of expansion, or is that kind of where you're going to stay?
8 teams for right now. We are always interested in speaking to prospective owners. That's something we are always looking at doing. Even if it was to add for this upcoming 2021 season or looking at the following seasons to come. So we are always looking at that. You can, again, even if you were interested in joining our league as an owner, bringing a team, you can find that information on the WPBA.com as well.
That is awesome. I would love to bring a team to Jacksonville. But
absolutely,
you saw what I struggled with just even getting us onto a live broadcast. I don't know if you're ready to trust me to be an owner just yet, but I've got dreams. You've been an awesome first guest. Again, everybody, thank you for tuning in. This is Kahli Wilson, the Deputy Commissioner of the newly forming WPBA. Check out a game near you. Those teams again: Atlanta, Richmond, the Georgia Soul, Greensboro's got a team, Tennessee, Philadelphia, Mississippi, and Carolina. I know I have, at least I know Chris Reese, he's a Mississippi guy. I see that he's on there. And I guess I am looking now, I realize I do have time for 2 questions. So if you are watching on Facebook Live and you want to punch in a question or 2, please go ahead and put that in your chat. I can see that. I don't see anything from YouTube, but I do have it from Facebook Live. So if you have any questions for Kahli Wilson that you want to throw out there, hit her now or forever hold your peace.
Or forever hold your
Yeah, Florida representation. Woohoo! I see Michelle. Yeah, Michelle, help me start a team. Help me start a team. That's next on the list, right? I would love to get involved. So I don't have any questions coming in this time, but you have been awesome. And wow, I know your students your students love you. I know they do.
And I love my students. I have some great students. God is good. All praise and glory to God alone.
Amen. Amen. Your effervescence shines through. And do you ever go out and try to challenge your husband to a one-on-one? Does that ever happen?
Oh, well, I don't even want to talk about that.
Next interview. We'll get that. Or you give that to me in the green room. All right,
Yeah.
good.
Yeah.
So you've been following the WPBA Owners Corner. I am Vera Jones, your host. Join us every Monday and Wednesday. We'll be broadcasting live on Facebook as well as YouTube. We post the link typically the day of, so check out the Vera Jones, and we'll probably try to find some other places as well. Kahli, I hope you're on the next call, and we look forward to seeing you soon.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Vera. Take care.
All right, take care,
Bye.
everybody. Good night.